Hello, everybody. I'll give it a few minutes to let people log on. I'm here at work. I wanted to do a live this afternoon, but just had to sleep. I slept very well, and I got a big day in Toronto tomorrow. So we'll get into it here today. I got three major topics to talk about, and it's critical for all of you. So I see people are starting to log on. It's a little late, but not too bad out west. So we'll see. People are coming on. So three huge topics is going to be Drew Barnes. He's now an independent MLA. We're going to go through what he should do right now. I know quite a bit about Drew. He's actually looked into a lot of the work I've done. He's right behind it, 100% on constitutionalism, something very, very important for Drew, which again is very, very important for Medicine Hat Brooks. So we're going to get into that. Second item we're going to get into is the group constitutional conventions. They talk of grand jury. They talk of a lot of things they think they're going to do in natural law. And I've finished up with Africa. I've already hit now 30 out of the 52 nations of Africa. I have 30 of Africa's best of the best on board to help us with this process, because for all Canadians to understand, Africa has gone independent. They have gone through this process. They've abolished the crown in many of their countries, and not just the crown from England, but of France, of Germany, all colonials. So this goes Portugal, it goes Denmark, it goes Italy, it goes Spain. There's still even a few others, and even into the Nazi Germany. Africa has taken the most worldwide than any other continent and region of countries. So they know better than anybody. And I'm going to get into what those experts wish to articulate and present to you, and why the danger of the Constitutional Conventions group, where they're going. It's been done before, and it's been failure. But we're going to get into that. Third and final thing, we're going to get back to a group that I very much greatly respect out of the United States of America. It's the 3%ers, shunned here in Canada because they're not constitutionally protected in Canada. However, in the United States of America, the 3% group is more than just protected. They're actually constitutionally mandated. They're a group of citizens constitutionally mandated in the Second Amendment. And we're going to get into that, what I took from the Threepers out of the States. They're a southern state in the USA. I know the president of that group very well. I subscribe to all their things. They share so much with me. I've even had a good chat with that president. There's several of the officers in that group, and they've been more than happy to share lots of things with me over the last few years. And it's important now for Canadians that I revisit that and I explain the Oath of Rights and Freedoms, because it's going to have to be addressed by the CCP. We can't move forward if we have everybody divided on rights and freedoms. So that's why this oath that was established really by the 3% group, but I transformed it somewhat to fit a political narrative, to protect people from themselves, to allow everybody to unite under one party and be able to respect the views and differences of other people. How do you do that? Because Canadians, of all people, don't know how to do that. The system is institutionalized to get you at each other's throats, which leads to the gross autocracy. So we're going to visit that. But now we're going to start from the first topic. Now I see lots of people are on, which is pretty good for it's late. But the first thing being Drew Barnes, and this is advice for Drew Barnes. He's a good man. He's a good MLA. He understands constitutionalism. In fact, he follows me. We're friends on friends list. But also, he's watched all the work I've done with one Richard Albert right here in Canada. He is Canada's top constitutionalist, second being probably Rand Herschel, that are alive today, that have actually written books that many nations in the world have taken to heart. They've both toured the world, Richard's probably toured the most. He's been to every major law faculty in a lot of the world, okay? So I'm very fortunate. I met with him. We had an exchange a couple years back. We became really good friends after that, even though he didn't agree with what I was doing with independence. But he sure realized fast that I was right into constitutionalism. I could grasp the concepts. I could go toe-to-toe in their world stage. He also realizes I have a very strong knack with political science. I understand many areas that not a lot of lawyers can appreciate, and I have mastered the Canadian system, especially in the provincial side. But now we're going federal, and I've found a way to build around the constitutional restrictions. And of course, I'm going to take the crown and absolutely destroy the crown. I'm going to use the crown power to destroy that, which gets us around all of the constitutional blockers that are placed inside our Constitution to stop politicians from changing things. The crown doesn't want to be destroyed. And they do that by setting it up so that as long as you take the crown, you have absolute authority. People get drunk on the power. They never expected that a third-class citizen could get to that stage, could take that crown and destroy it. Because who would, right? Take the money, take the power, take the full control of the people. Well, that's not going to be me, and that's not going to be this party. So we've changed things. We found a way to give you, the people, the power without actually having to go through the Democratic side that always loses. We're going to assume the crown power to destroy the crown power. It's real, it's credible, it's viable, and world experts are going, oh my God, no one's ever thought of that before. They look at the validity of it, 100% real, credible. It certainly can be done. It's that easy. And you know what? In just a minority government. So getting back to Drew Barnes, he wants to get into provincial constitutionalism. Everything he talks about, why he fought with Jason Kennedy, is because he wanted to represent his constituents. They tell him what they want him to do in government, and the legislation he is to push and he is to try and get put in place with the party. Jason Kennedy says, nope, we don't want to hear from your constituents. I am the autocratic premier. I don't want to listen to Brooks or Medicine Hat. I don't want to listen. I'm going to do what I like to do, and if you don't like it, Drew, I'm going to throw you out of the party. This is my advice for Drew. You're an independent MLA. Currently, you are an MLA for Brooks Medicine Hat. Take that time now. Find a party or create your own, Drew. Find a party or create your own. Don't let the autocratic power that is a part of every party decide your destiny. Go for it. I know you want constitutionalism. Richard Albert is here for you, Drew. We have a great provincial constitution rollout. You could be the first leader of a political party who's an elected MLA right now. There's no time to waste. You know, people say, oh, time heals all things. In politics, it's the opposite. Time, the longer you sit on your hands in politics, the more people forget. Drew Barnes, you have an amazing chance to do something no other politician in the provincial side of politics has ever done in Canadian history. You could take this opportunity, you could take the reins of any registered political party today. In fact, you could even create your own party, Drew Barnes. If you could get Lowen, if you could get any other MLAs to resign and go with you, and I think we both know who you could approach for that, and I think we all know who would more than be willing to help assist you, a former leader. I would help and assist you with this, Drew. You have a chance to change Alberta positively, set a stage for every other province in Canada. You could actually help unite and strengthen Canadians together just by doing this great act for the people of Alberta, which would then leave an example for every other province, and probably Quebec. Quebecois would wake up and realize, oh geez, nobody ever told us this. You have that chance, Drew. You know what's wrong. You know there's a big portion that you can fix just being in the provincial side. 2/3 of every citizen's rights in the province of Alberta could be harnessed and given to the people for once in Canadian history since 1867. Watch Richard Albert's presentation. If you need, Drew, reach out to me. I'll hook it up. I'll set you up with Richard Albert. No problem. And I promise you this, Drew. Unlike everybody else, I can guarantee you I have 132 of the world's smartest men, just like Richard Albert, men and women, in many languages. They can do English, but they can also do another primary language. I can hit every minority in Canada, every minority group. We're getting there. I'm working on First Nations. We're not there yet. But take this opportunity, Drew. This is a blessing in disguise. Things happen for a reason. And I know you follow me. I know you're on track with this. I know you want to see the Richard Albert. I know you've reached out for that. This is your chance. You're unrestricted. And why not it be Medicine Hat Brooks? Why not a bunch of country folk come together to do something unprecedented in Canadian history? You all could be the leaders of Canada of tomorrow, fixing Canada absolutely. And if you can't, after that great example, get the federal government to respond, if I can't win that with CPC or CCP, then you know what, everybody? Then move towards independence. But I'm telling you, you need to learn constitutionalism. You need to get out of this institutionalized abuse you've been a part of for many, many decades. 150 plus years. Devastating. Drew Barnes has a unique opportunity and may even be able to solidify a party of his own literally overnight. If he can get Lowen and one more MLA, that's the third way to make a party. 3 independent MLAs joining forces. You just only need one more. Can be done. I can help you, Drew. I can give you unbelievable resources that no other human being probably in North America can deliver on, but I can, my friend. I can. And you know it's true. You already know it, and so do many of my followers. Real, credible, viable, and absolute truth that no nation of the world is going to stand up and say, oh, no, don't do that. Which brings me now, that's my closing. That was for you, Drew Barnes. I hope everybody shares that out. It's critical. It's critical for all provinces of Canada, not the least of which Alberta. Be the leaders of today. Reason why I transition into the second part here is this group, constitutional conventions. I understand the heart. I get it. People don't know. They've been so subjected to so much from the governments in absolute fake, fraudulent, even non-transparent realities where they're holding back truths. And because of that, and the way the government websites narrate things and keep certain things secret, it leads Canadians and other groups to come up with their own rationale for it. I'm not trying to slam Canadian constitutional conventions, the Constitutional Conventions group, but much of what they say isn't even legal in this world today. And I'm going to give you what I've got from Africa. Again, 30 out of 52 nations in Africa, smartest Africans, bar none. They're world-recognized experts. I have 30 of them. 30 of them. Did you know Africa has done all the same things that the Constitutional Conventions group says they want to do and that they're going to do? Do you know what's happened to 22 out of 30 of those who followed that path? They're all 6 feet under. Excuse me. They're 6 feet under in the ground. They were executed by one France. And there was nothing anyone in the world could do about it. You can look this up on Google. They all tried to do their own interpretation of a new governing system outside of world treaties. They said, We don't care about your international laws. We don't care about the UNSC. We don't care about treaties. We are going to rule, and we're going to rule this way. We don't care what the world has to say about that. That in itself is a declaration just like World War III, which is outlawed in this world today. There are minimum standards, minimum rules of governance every nation is bound to, whether you like it or not. And if you don't follow it and you go rogue, extremely rogue, and you start saying, we're going to implement this law, that law, this law, we don't care. We're going to unilaterally do it. We're not going to follow government. We're going to go rogue. They'll execute you. And if you don't believe me, 22 African presidents who actually basically rebelled, did their own version of a constitutional convention, just like what that group promises, absent of all fact, world treaties, and absence and lack of respect for the allies of World War II, and they were assassinated by such. Because when you go too far and you start saying you're going to make up your own laws outside of that, you're going to meet the most powerful nations in the world, and they're going to say, sorry, we told you what the world's rules were. You've decided to make up your own. Bye. And it has always led to all kinds of genocides. People on constitutional conventions talking about what we see in the southern states. One, Georgia, they have that court. And I listed in the title here for you, that is the only constitutional state, not government federally, a state that has the grand jury system. But it's absolutely by the state. And it still is subject to the Supreme Court of the United States of America when you get into supreme federal jurisdiction. You can't make a grand jury outside of the government or outside of a written constitution. We, unlike what Constitutional Convention says, we absolutely do have a federal constitution. It's recognized worldwide as the country of Canada is recognized worldwide. I don't like how Canada runs, but you can't tell people that Canada's not a country or that it doesn't have a constitution, because it does. And I'm going to say this again for the last time. UK has never had a written constitution whatsoever. Zero. They ran the world, most of the world, 70% of the world was influenced by the United Kingdom, Great Britain, with zero rules of governance, zero codified constitution, none whatsoever. Absolutely the small c, power of the crown, the politician. That is UK, that's Britain. And now it's a parliamentary constitutional monarchy, but they still run with zero constitution. They have 0 regions. They have 5 UN states, one of which is the UNSC, one of the world powers. And if you're going to say, well, Canada's not a country, UK has something to say about that. And they most definitely are a country, and you can see their history throughout the entire world, as that was one empire that absolutely had a world constitution under the League of Nations, ran the world for a very long time as the supreme authority. That in itself absolutely dispels and dismisses everything Constitutional Convention says, 100%. And there is no more argument, because you've lost the argument. And anyone saying, oh, that's not, or I'm not going to listen, I can tell you again, since the 40s, up through the 60s, and even into the 80s, every African nation that tried to pull what Constitutional Conventions tries to tell all of you, every single one that pulled that ended up 6 feet under, every single one, and not by their own nations or other parties, but absolutely by world powers. You will never, ever take the world into a situation where you get into World War III. It just won't. You will follow the rules, you will follow the mandated laws, or you get put down. That's reality, 100%. Google it yourself. This is real history. Many world experts will tell you everything I'm telling you is 100% real. Tons of publication. And again, look at UK. Zero constitution, 100% small c. Canada isn't even 100% small c. Limited constitution, but they have one. And it's ranked, it's registered. You can all read it. I've put it up on the website many times. We have the original copy. I have the greatest museum in the United States of America of every original constitutional document, including one of the oldest that represents us, the Magna Carta. I have the American who holds in the museum the original Magna Carta. That's real, verifiable, it's there, that's real. You can go and you can go look at it. Canada has a real constitution. People saying, I want to see the real original document. No one's going to give you an act of parliament. And you can say, well, acts aren't this or aren't that. That's 100% of how UK runs. France ran that way all the way up to 1952. Remember that date? Remember I talked about that? France didn't get a constitution until 1952. Much, much older than Canada, which represents a lot of Lower Canada. France went throughout the world. At one time, they're the third largest power in the world. Very recently, all under the League of Nations. Many of the colonials were. And you can look, a lot of them run with zero constitutions whatsoever. Where do you think the potato famine comes from? Where do you think these monarchs who got rebelled against and the people hung them up in the street or lit them on fire? That's all the people have in that situation. No constitutions. That's truth. So now we're going to get into the third part, now that I've got through that, whether people have hurt the feelings or not, is we're going to get into the 3% group. Out of the United States, there is a patriot group that's very old, very old. It's called the Threepers, 3%ers. They get negative publicity, but they're actually libertarian. And they're underneath the Second Amendment a long, long time ago in American history, after what happened with the colonialism of the UK, France, and Spain, Portugal, was all on the United States too. British subjects, and then there were French subjects, there's Spanish subjects, and there's Portuguese subjects, all got together to make America. They rebelled. Britain said no way. They pounded out the American citizens. American citizens won. They went on to fight the colonials of Spain, Portugal. We get into the whole Mexico boundary system. Mexico got its independence from Spain and Portugal as well too, and you see some of the other island states that got away from that. It goes on, and even France. You look at Louisiana, there's so much Canadians in real history you don't even know about our southern neighbors, where the slave trade comes from, who was actually purportedly doing that, why the North wasn't like that, why the South was. It's all in real history, and to vilify Americans is wrong. Threepers is very old. It comes from the time of those Americans who went independent. It's the highlight, the strength of libertarianism, and it goes right back to American independence. Development afterwards of the Second Amendment, which enshrined the right of the Threepers. Threepers believe in the Oath of Rights and Freedoms, basically how I've changed it to add to it, which had to be done because people always want to trample on other people's rights. Everybody wants rights, so they say, but as soon as somebody has a right that doesn't agree with somebody else, they say, oh, you shouldn't be allowed to have that right. I don't like that right. I don't want you to have it. That's wrong. It should be let people be, let people live. That was the War of Independence. That's what Americans fought for, and it's why the group 3% exists, to be armed and ready to fight for liberty, absolute, all rights and freedoms, civilians to be standing on guard, ready in case the government tries to do what they're doing in Canada right now. Canadians can't do that. We don't have a Second Amendment. We don't have a registered 3% group of Americans armed and ready to defend your liberties till their death. That's reality. And that's what that group exists for. We need that in Canada going forward upon an election. We can't have elite government, especially crown autocrats, deciding when and where they're going to steal your rights away, which rights you get, which ones you don't, depending on which party you elect. Always fighting for your rights, but never having the means to do that. In the United States of America, the Second Amendment ensures government officials won't go too far. They're gone way too far in Canada, and they can, because there's nothing you can do about it, because you don't even exist in your Constitution. There's several levels. The Oath of Rights and Freedoms I got from the group 3%, and what I'm giving to all of you now is what I rolled out in the province of Alberta, and it was the only way to make sure that Independence Party would stay on track for all Albertans. And now it looks like we're going to have to do that in a federal layout, and that is this: I accept all rights and freedoms at no threat, harm, or expense to anyone else's. So have your rights and freedoms. The guy beside you or the gal beside you, they can have their rights and freedoms as long as the rights and freedoms they're enjoying don't infringe on you, don't hurt you, don't create a threatening situation for you, or put you in any kind of real danger, or removes your rights. They get it, and you got to let it go. If it's not affecting you in any negative, real way, you got to let it go. It's not your business how the person beside you lives, or what they enjoy, or the things that they wish to follow in life. It's none of your business. As long as, like I said, they're not hurting anyone, they're not threatening anyone in any real meaning way, or they're not impacting your life directly in any meaningful way. It's simple, it's common sense. That's how we have to go forward. And a lot of people don't want to do that. You will see there's a radical right, a radical left, and they will turn around and tell you, oh, no, I want these rights and I want yours removed. Canadians are the worst for that. And you know who loves that the most? Your filthy, dirty, corrupt politicians. Because they go, oh, goody, now I can remove rights, get them fighting each other, and my power grows till I get to the point, top of the pyramid. That's going to be the politician, and they're going to take everything from you. Rape, pillage, and plunder, which is what they do, and they're very, very good at it. They only get stronger and better at it every 4 years with every election. They have that constitutional right, that power and authority absolutely over all of you. And there's no rebelling back, not without a Second Amendment type scenario. There is world law that gives you that right, but Canadians aren't ready for it. Too institutionalized. Your immigration targeted programs from all over the world are other fellow loyalists that represent a sovereign that you give your sovereignty to in your Canadian Constitution, allowing your politician to go out to other countries that broke away from that sovereign power, and then they immigrate those loyalists to your Canada to continue the crown power, to keep it very, very strong, so that none of you will ever get out of the crown autocracy. Your politicians will remain strong forever in full authority, stealing all of your rights forever and ever. We can change all this. Elect a minority federal government, the CCP. Minority. I mean, we don't even need a majority. We only need a minority. When it comes to crown power, you only need the title of Prime Minister. That's all you need. You can remove the Governor General and absolutely all Lieutenant Governors of every province, territory. That's the power of PM. Appoint your own, sworn to you the people. It's that simple. And literally, in one day, in one Ascension Day, in the swearing in of a Prime Minister, you can change Canada irrevocably and all the provinces and territories. Absolutely one and done. That easy. No referendums, no nothing. Because once you have the Governor General and all Lieutenant Governors, no legislature or parliament can pass any bills or laws until the Governor General and the Lieutenant Governors say they can, because they get the stamp. That's the power of the Crown. And as PM, I'd never let it go, or whoever in the party would never let that happen. Further, any appeals to any of the highest courts, whether provincially or federal Supreme Court of Canada, has to again go through Governor General and all Lieutenant Governors. It's King's Court. The justices can be mandated absolutely by Governor General and Lieutenant Governors, which is by the PM. Ultimately, because the Governor General can overrule all Lieutenant Governors from Premier. That's what we can do. And until those premiers and all legislatures and all federal parties and each and every MP goes back to their constituents and absolutely gives them and agrees to give you all the power to rewrite your federal Canadian Constitution with the provided best experts in the world in every minority language for every community to educate all of you over the course of a few months until every Canadian has written or hand to hand in writing after learning from the best, asking every question that they could think of, present every idea that every Canadian could think of live. And once that's all been understood, crafted, the wrongs, the rights of the entire world in a major comparison of every constitution in the world, you will get absolutely all provincial and territorial constitutions voted by the regions and absolutely all dismemberment, redesigns of the federal, absolutely by all of you, the people. You vote on it in majority, one and done. That's how fast, that's how easy. It's not that complicated. It costs $140 million, or the cost of 14 referendums in Canada. Looking at 13, the 10 provinces, 3 territories, and 1 federal. Across every community, every town hall, by the world's greatest experts in the world, in every language minority in Canada. And we will be doing all First Nations as well, too. That's it. That easy. In a minority government, the minority prime minister. That's all you need, just a prime minister elect. And there is nothing any party or politician can do about it in Canada. There's no police, military, law, whether that lawyers or justices can do about it, because they're all sworn the same oath. And it's absolute. That's using the crown to destroy the crown. That is a tremendous gift. That's what the CCP is. It's the only one of its kind in Canada that's ever been done or will ever be presented to you guys. This is why I do what I do. It's why I'm wearing a mask. It's why I'm in Ontario doing nuclear. It's why I'm likely to go get a vaccine back in Edmonton on my next flight so that I can go to every province and territory, because it's not about me. It's about all of you. Sometimes we have to make sacrifices. The choices I make are my choices to make. It's for all of you. And if you don't see the wisdom in it, if you don't see that I know I need to get to the Atlantic provinces, I have to do Quebec. I have to do it, no matter what the cost. That's life, and I am more than willing to do it. I've sacrificed much more and many other things for all of you, and that's what I will do. That's my right to give you the gift you all need. Thank you. That's my video. Share. It was a big one. Lots of information there. Bye now.